welcome everybody on that first meeting where finally we can see people in 3D, not in 2Ds as a Zoom meeting. So this is a hybrid meeting of the June meeting of the Village Planning Commission. And on March 10th, 2000, the Board of Trustees of the village adopted a village comprehensive plan, and as part of its law section 772, and as part of the creation of the comprehensive plan back 20 years ago, the Board of Trustees also created the Village Planning Commission in order to make recommendations regarding this comprehensive plan, make recommendation as to its implementation, and now we're going to be updating this comprehensive plan. The powers of the planning commissions include making recommendations to the trustees, but we do not review or comment on any specific applications. We are here to review proposed amendments to the village code, including the zoning code and other chapters of the village code. So, being said this, we have here the agenda. We're going to skip on the Pledge of Allegiance based on everybody's consensus. So I will be, tonight I will be co-chairing our meeting with Michelangelo Lieberman, who Michelangelo is joining us via Zoom. Michelangelo is also called Mike. We'll call you Mike. Or you want to call Michelangelo?
No, Mike works.
Mike works.
If you're angry at me, you call me anything you want.
We are in the U.S.
So Mike is a newly appointed member of the Village Planning Commission, and he's environmental planner with the town of Southampton in their long-range planning division. Mike, after growing up in Watermill, Mike went to Stony Brook and graduated with a degree of environmental studies, and then joined the Peace Corps as an urban agricultural extension agent. And after that, Mike, after staying 2 years in the Peace Corps, Mike went to Cornell University and graduated with a degree in international development. So we'd like to welcome Mike to our board. And so the next item on the agenda here is a roll call for our commission. I have, so Pam, here, Eduardo.
Not here.
Okay. Laura?
Yes, I'm here.
Michael?
I'm here.
Yeah. Bob? Is Bob on the Zoom?
Where's Bobby?
Bob on the Zoom?
He's traveling.
Right.
Bob has had connection issues. He was here at one point.
Oh, he was here? Okay. All right.
He is here. Mr. Essa, you need to unmute yourself so that you can speak.
Okay, so Bob is here.
He is.
Okay, fantastic. And Ed Corrigan? Is Ed Corrigan here?
No.
Ed Corrigan is not here. Okay. So so recently the Village Board of Trustees signed after a request for proposal, the Village Board of Trustees signed an agreement with BFJ to update the comprehensive plan. And Paul Travis, who is here in the board with us tonight, and who was the past chairperson of the Planning Commission, assisted in the request for proposal and obtaining the proposal, reviewing the proposals, and it was awarded to BFJ after a competitive proposal. The BFJ happened to have been also the same firm that prepared the comprehensive plan 20 years ago. They're a Manhattan-based firm, and they also have done a slightly update of the comprehensive plan for the Southampton Association in 2013, but this was independently from the village. They have been working for a number of other East End communities, such as the town of Southampton. They work on the County Route 39 corridor. They've worked on the Bridgehampton and Riverhead and Brookhaven. And also have worked in Bayport, Melville, Farmingdale. So they are very familiar with the Long Island. As part of their team, they are mostly AICP, members of the American Institute of Certified Planners, and the person in charge, Noah Levine, who I believe will join us later today, his family has a house in Sag Harbor, so they're also very familiar with the area. And Frank Fish will also be the principal in charge for this update. So,
Excuse me, Chair, I do have them in the attendees, so let me know when you want me to let them to speak.
Okay, absolutely. So I also provided to all of the members of the commission a copy of the agreement. So you can, I would like everyone on the commission to please review the scope of the services that we have provided. And then if you have anything to correct or clarify, we should do this with them. So without further ado, I'd like them to come in and then introduce themselves and introduce what the plans that they have in terms of how they're going to go about updating the comprehensive plan. So yes, you can let them in.
Okay, I'm working on it right now. Okay, so I have Taylor Young, Frank Fish, and Noah Levine.
Hello.
Oh. Hello, everyone. Noah, you there? Good.
Yep.
Hello.
Taylor is here. We're all three of us are here. Would you like us to, we've prepared a PowerPoint, and I think we could go through that with you if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great.
Great. Noah, do you want to do the honors here and start us off? And then
Sure. I think bring it up actually, but I'm presuming everyone can see it from view that are in.
You can see the screen. You need to share the screen. Okay.
No,
Yep.
You're trying to share a presentation with us?
I think Taylor, are you bringing?
Yeah, I can do it. Got it.
Taylor, you can do it. Okay. All
Great.
right, good.
Here we are.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, good.
All right, can everyone see? Yep.
I think it's up now, Taylor. That's great.
Okay, I'm gonna go to full screen. All right.
And Taylor, if you go to the next slide, I think the three of us can just briefly introduce our agenda. And it's just, we'll do some introductions, we'll do a team overview, and then project scope and timeline, and then a community engagement approach. And Mark had mentioned we ought to stay within 20 minutes, so we're going to try to do that and be within 20 minutes on this. So I go to the next slide, Taylor. And Noah, let me do the honors and start the introduction.
Yeah. So thank you being us to present. We're looking forward to getting started on the. My name is Noah Levine. I'm an associate principal at BFJ Plan with the firm for about 11 years. This project is of special importance or personal importance to me. Lives in Sag Harbor. My sister lives in the town. I grew up spending summers out there, so I'm familiar with the village. I think that'll help. It's always helpful to know the local context, but this area, not only can we kind of hit the ground running, but if we need to come up for meetings and whatnot, a place to stay. But thank you again for inviting us. I'll pass it to Frank to introduce himself.
And I'm Frank Fish. I'm a founding partner of BFJ Planning. And actually, when we started our firm way back in 1980, one of our first engagements with another firm at the time, Frederick Clark Associates, was to do some work in the Hamptons and the East Hamptons and village plans for them. So we've been at work for a while in the East End, and as Mark mentioned, Mike mentioned also, that we've been at work throughout Long Island for all of these years. So we hope that we can provide some good assistance here. And Taylor?
Hey everyone, I'm Taylor Young. Been with BFJ for a few years now, and also wanted to say that I don't have as much experience, on Long Island as Noah and Frank do, but this same team worked in Bayport, and we've worked in other places of Long Island together. So the three of us are ready to hit the ground running, and I'm very excited to kick it off.
And Taylor, we can move to the next slide then. I'm just going to do some introductory slides a little bit on us. And as I get then a little further in, I'll turn this over to Noah, who's going to act as you heard, as the contact person here, the project manager for the job. So just in terms of BFJ, we have these 5 groups in the firm. We find them very helpful in doing a comprehensive plan. And as you can see, we have a planning group. And the first 2 things there is comprehensive planning and zoning. So that's why Noah, Taylor, and I are here. We tend to work out of that group pretty much. We do have urban design in the firm, environmental analysis, real estate consulting, and transportation planning is also George Akamar and Mark. There's another person here, Mark Fricker, who's going to be involved, and that's out of our transportation group. So as we need involvement from these groups, Noah will decide on that. And then the next slide just shows you the overall organization. I think Noah, myself, and Taylor will be the 3 key people, but I just mentioned Mark Fricker on transportation, Jonathan Martin from the urban design group, and then a project planner. Christine will be assisting on some of the urban design and also just graphics and mapping. So that's the overall team organization. And then the next slide, just we wanted to talk about a little bit because when we did the original plan some years ago, at the time, back in the 90s, actually in New York State, the planning commission or planning board would actually adopt the plan. The law has been changed in New York State so that only the elected officials, so only the village board of trustees can actually adopt it. So what they do, state law enables the board of trustees to defer to the planning commission to actually develop the plan on their behalf, or a special board. So in this case, you would be that board, and the planning commission would act as the board to guide this plan. So we'd be reporting to you in the meetings that Noah will go over a little later. And then you would be reviewing our interim deliverables, namely the chapters, as we update them. And then also in terms of public engagement, it would be really carefully done with you, with the planning commission, until we get to the point where, the trustees do a public hearing, and they would hold that hearing. I would mention that you have the ability, though, and also state law provides for you to hold one of your workshops as your hearing. And then after that, and after you revise your draft, it goes to the trustees. And then the next slide here just goes over your prior planning documents. And again, the co-chair has mentioned the Southampton Village plan. And we did work on that and develop it. So we'll try to use that as a guide for the update work that we do now. And each of the chapters of the plan will be updated and partly based on your current plan. And then the next slide just shows, we're going to try to look at also other plans that you've done. We're very familiar with Stan Eckstadt's plan for the Village Center. And there's a number of others we've listed here. We do want to make sure as we go through this process that we've got the relevant plan. So if there's things we're missing, we'd like to fill them in with you. And then the next slide here is going to go through project scope and overall approach. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Noah Levine.
Thanks, Frank. Yeah, as Frank, kind of our proposed timeline, which we anticipate to take about 10 months. You know, we refer back to this document, back to it at subsequent meetings to stay on task. I think it's important for the village, as well as for us, that we get this done. 10-month timeline is proposed. But we've put some thought into what's required. I mentioned before, an update of the plan that was done in about 20 years ago. Using that as a reference, and we'll be updating the chapters and identifying new issues that become apparent to us throughout the process. Right now, you know, obviously we're in June, and we're started. The first step is really data, as much information in our kind of existing conditions analysis. We also really need to kickstart the public engagement. As you can see in task 1B, we have 2 workshops, 2 public. First, you know, that was originally, you know, for month 3. This was before we kind of had a firm start date. We can discuss whether it is or isn't appropriate to do a public meeting in August, so we can certainly push. Envision an online format, just given the fact that so many others, you know, are, you know, so we might be able to week meeting, we might be able to capture people, you know, that perhaps are in the city or elsewhere and aren't out there during. In addition, you know, in the early stages, we'll be developing a project, and we'll have to work with the village staff as well as a public survey a little bit. And first phase, looking at their interviews, you know, as part with various representatives from the village, nonprofit agencies, other boards and commissions. We'll get into identifying those. And as Frank mentioned, also the village board of trustees public hearing would fall at the end, and that, you know, that obviously we'd be adopting the plan in months 8 through 10. And task 2 is really the writing of the plan. So we've listed. We would be following a similar format to what was prepared 20 years ago. Really, the focus, from our understanding, would be on zoning recommendations, future land use plan, and implementation, because I think we want to and bolts and, you know, what once this plan did. And my window here, we'll be reviewing those, review the plan in the last 2 months, and then we'll go through the seeker process, the state environmental quality. We don't anticipate this to be a full environment requiring, a full environmental impact statement, but there are statutory requirements that we can guide the village through that process.
Could you revisit that? You broke up a little. What portion of seeker is this going?
Sure.
Repeat that.
Apologies. So the State Environmental Quality Review Act states that all basically a decision, subjective decision, it's required that they go through this statutory review. Any significant are identified, the village would have to do an environmental impact statement.
So that's going to be a type 1 action because it's a comp plan.
It's a comp plan, exactly. So for this type of project, we don't anticipate there being any environmental impacts. So we would start the process kind of once we understand what the recommendations would be, and we don't and really accounted for that. Frank also is
yeah, I would just add there, you are correct that this adopting a comprehensive plan is a type 1 action, and a type 1 action under seeker is one that is simply more likely to require a full environmental impact statement. But those
I just want to make sure I heard that it was a type 1 action.
Yeah.
Of course, it may be neg deck.
Yes, it is. So you may still neg deck a type 1 action. The key on seeker, the key is one sentence of the state law. Does it have the action any significant adverse impact? Significant adverse impact. A lot of villages we've worked for say to us, why would we ever adopt a plan that has significant adverse impacts? So
Right.
we don't know here until the end, but we're hoping that this plan will have beneficial impacts. So that's the idea under seeker. However, that's going to be a decision, and that decision will be up to the Board of Trustees. They have to make that decision.
Okay, great. Sorry, I didn't want to
Yeah.
retract this.
No problem.
Clarification. Thanks.
Hey, Noah, can you talk a little bit closer perhaps to the
Sure.
screen? You have been breaking up just a little
I'm
bit.
sorry.
Yeah. no,
Okay.
go ahead.
Taylor, can you skip ahead? Next slide. Shows our budget. As you can see, I believe it's 66,000. We're just kind of showing this by task just to help. The kind of time we'll be spending on each of the tasks. Also, just to note that we've cut the, a bit from what we had originally planned. I think to stay within what the village had in mind, budget-wise. So we'll be kind of referring to what was done in what was done in the prior plan, and really looking at for like a strategic update and identifying those issues that are most important to really focus on for this plan. Next. And as I mentioned, conducting a number of outreach events at communities, we're really going to look to you to help to identify public events, but just really help. While we're at planning, quote unquote, you're really the experts at understanding your community and who we need to really reach out to. Who are the connections, the key connections to really outreach process. And what we're going to do is to help us the best as we can, and we can provide the village with everything that's. But really, we do your kind of networking. This kind of. Next. The next slide, a little slow for me. The next shows a bit of the engagement tools that we are using, particularly at a lot of outreach virtually. Okay, it's up now. This is a basically a community engagement approach in a number of communities. This just shows one that we did in the town of Milburn in New Jersey. Basically have an online map that can drop pins to show where they see opportunities for improvement. On the left, basically, they might do in an in-person online. We found to get more comments, virtual would be able to get at any in-person meeting. Not to say that we don't like in-person meetings, but we're just able to really get out to a lot of people so that they engage in their own time. We have had a lot of success, and it's been, we've been able to, as to say, slide just shows just another in the city of Jersey City. We had an online meeting. We had approximately, just coming up a little slow, about 150 participants, which is a lot. We ever would have had a meeting, and we were able to pull all of the feedback in real time, present it back in a way. So this online engagement meeting, but we can go maybe at our second meeting and then the first public workshop. Next slide. So as far as the stakeholder are concerned, we have 7 in our proposal, and what we propose is a series of by topic, and we would like to rely on you as far as like identifying the right involved in each of these groups. For transportation and public safety, we might want to include the police department, DPW, but we might also want to include advocates for bicycling or pedestrian safety, might be other might want to include. And so we would basically want to bring everyone to the table to talk about issues of importance. Next. Another thing we would like necessarily for the public, quick questionnaire for both the Planning Commission as we could send this out to boards, commissions, within the village. And with this short questionnaire would take a snapshot of that we should be looking at and to better understand what are the kind of priority areas, or what types of improvements really should we. So this is just a couple. This to Mark. He seemed to agree this was a good idea and that it should be sent out to a wider group. This wouldn't be public, for everybody to let organizations tell us about themselves, their purpose, membership, etc. Initiatives that we should know about. We know that there's a lot, and it's important for the comprehensive plan to. The next slide talks about just quickly, people just quickly letting us know the issues that they think the comprehensive. Are these new issues? Are they old? And are there topic or sensitive issues that we want to make sure that we don't embarrass ourselves, to be frank. But we want to make sure that we handle any sensitive issues. If there are if there's low-hanging fruit opportunities that we can address, there are some longer-term big recommendations that we should also. And also to we could use this process to further our engagement efforts by generating a list. Really should be invited and involved. Everyone should be invited and included, but we should reach out to. It would be important to know. Groups, message boards, other resources to promote outreach, and then any other. We basically want to use this as kind of our first kind of to outsource some of the engagement and future engagement. So, and lastly, issues to consider. I think we've in our proposal we've mentioned. We understand that zoning. This plan will be looking at zoning issues, maxing out zoning envelopes. Building large. On smaller lots, overdevelopment, that'll be an. We'll get into lot coverage and parking requirements, inclusionary housing. Looking at workforce housing, and then contributions to trust funds for infrastructure and transportation. And sewer. Generally speaking, we'll try to pull previously prepared documents. Understanding where there might be opportunities to improve pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, and maybe where there's traffic issues, particularly in the downtown area, and then open space resources and sustainability. This is a waterfront community with tremendous natural resources, and we want to make sure that those are sustained. We can prepare for the next 20 plus years. So that's our we tried to go through that quickly. There's obviously a lot to cover, but that's kind of an overview of our project. If you can go to the next slide. We just wanted to turn it back to you. We weren't sure how much we had today with you, but if you have any questions about our approach, we'd be happy to take them, and then also a discussion of next steps and what we can do to move this forward.
Thank you for the nice presentation, and I think. We're very happy to have you on board. I think it's a long overdue process, but we have a lot to do. So as a commission, we have been discussing this for the last few months. So we also have a laundry list of items that we would like to bring to you to be able to also start on those issues. So we look forward to being able to communicate with you. We hope that hopefully at the next meeting will be a live meeting, and you'll be able to come to our village hall. So I think that we will give you we'll have like maybe a procedure for communication with the emails and everybody else, so everybody's on the
Well,
same page.
I was thinking that maybe the commission should appoint a point person from the commission to expedite messages, communication, rather than burying everyone. You know what I mean?
I think that's a good point. I think that initially, possibly initially we should be all copied,
Yes.
and then, for the first month or so, see how it goes, so everybody is on the same page, and then maybe later, as a second step, we can then maybe divide the tasks among ourselves as to where we want to, where each of us wants to focus on.
Okay. Okay. Well, I was just.
I have some general notes that perhaps they could maybe discuss or take into account. But regarding the public, and I'm sorry, did I interrupt anyone? I still have a hard time hearing.
No.
Okay, great. So regarding the community involvement, I'm assuming we could perhaps take a more of a participatory action approach, maybe relying a little bit on Robert Chambers' methodology, and with regards to maps, how we can, when interacting with these community members, that we can tailor the conversation in a way where we're kind of coming up with our truth, their truth, and then obviously the third truth being on the map. I've seen this used elsewhere and something I'm a fan of, but that was just specifically regarding the public participation. And then regarding the sustainability, are we going to, I guess, perhaps break that down into, yes, we're a coastal community, and yes, sea level rise is obviously a threat to us, but as we all are well aware of, that has to do with carbon, and carbon is, for the most part, comes from our built environment, and our built environment is obviously zoning, because that's how we build our buildings and how we account for our energy conservation. So I'm just hoping that maybe you could speak a little bit more about the sustainability portion.
Sure. Yeah, I can speak to that. I think that we had envisioned it as a kind of a separate chapter. Sustainability, it's kind of sometimes tough to categorize, as you kind of mentioned. It really touches upon almost every. Yes, land use, as also infrastructure, transportation. It really will kind of plan, and sometimes it's been a challenge to organize plan around, because it really is involved everywhere. But I think the approach we might chapter and refer initiatives that are identified through those very maybe a lot of.
I would just add, that Mark, just so you know, chapter 6 in our contract is that you all have a copy of. That's natural resources, open space, and sustainability. So that's a sustainability chapter. Look particularly at natural resources, but sustainability as a concept we like to have run through all of our work, all of our chapters. But that's where it'll be a particular focus on the environment.
Right. I'm hoping the whole document, as we move into 2020, beyond 2020, it's coming from the paradigm of sustainability. But at the same time, we have to make sure that we define it appropriately, and then speak to those individual concepts within sustainability. And yes, there's energy and carbon. Yes, there's waste. Yes, there's water quality, and there's walkability. And so perhaps we could offer. Maybe I could send out some other documents to you that you could use as a reference or a case study.
Yeah.
I'm quite familiar.
Excuse me, Mike. I think that the commission, I think that's what Mark said, is that we're going to go through as a commission their proposal and designate things that the commission wants to focus on, and you are right now focusing on sustainability, but as a group, that we will delineate what those things are, and with your input, of course, and everybody else's. So this is a little bit before the gun, I believe, your discussion?
Oh, okay. Lori, I'll convince you, and then we'll move forward together.
Okay, thank
very
you.
good. All right, well, I want to thank very much the team at BFJ for their presentation, and I look forward to working with you. And and communicating with you. So thank you again, and all right, so now we're going to next move to our next item on the agenda, which is the review.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Right. The next item on the agenda is the review of the sewer committee that recently awarded a contract to an engineering firm, to DNB Engineering, to put together a map and plan and study to move it to the next step. Paul Travis was leading that effort on a part of the sewer committee, and I'm going to let him describe it a little bit. I think that basically I think I've sent to the commission a copy of the contract that was sent with this engineering firm, so you can understand the scope of the work. And basically the scope of the work included both the possible review again of the Southend Hospital plant, as well as other possibilities that there may be.
Okay. Do you need me to move or something?
I'll turn the computer, but you just do what you want to do. We can hear you
Okay,
on the internet.
fine. That's fine then. So, the trustees appointed a sewer task force in February, which was composed of members of the public, people skilled in finance, and was led by trustee McLaughlin and Mayor Warren, both of whom, of course, are alumni of the Planning Commission. And the brief for the task force is to really move the sewer plan towards implementation. I think that is really the key item, that this has been something that's been discussed now for at least 10 years. And I think there's a broad recognition among the public at this point that we need to do something. The task force, with the help of the village administrator, prepared a RFP, which was broadly distributed, including on the state contract reporter. We got responses from 6 firms, which were Cameron Engineering, Nelson Pope Voorhees, D&B Engineering, H2M, PW Grosser, and Baptiste Engineering. And we developed a scoring sheet to review the proposals. I think, and certainly trustee McLaughlin can add in because he was very involved in that part of the process. I think what we were impressed with, the reason we were so impressed with D&B was both the combination of pretty extensive experience on Long Island, including some people in Suffolk County, in the Suffolk County government, who have recently joined their firm and know a lot about sewer and wastewater, but also their openness to new ideas, and to really looking at the broad range of technologies that are now available. As the chair said, we identified in the RFP the 2 sites that the commission identified, I guess, about a year ago, which were the potential site on County Road 39 near North Sea Road, and then also the existing wastewater treatment plant at the Southampton Hospital. There's also an openness in the D&B proposal for other sites that people have talked about. There's been, for example, some talk about whether or not, since the hospital will eventually be moving to the college campus, whether it would make sense to build a plant there. And then there's also obviously the issue of whether or not there's some interim steps that can be taken through cluster or IA systems or other approaches. So they have got started. Their brief is to complete the map and plan by February of next year. And then the next step would be to begin the engineering studies for the site that is selected. I guess I would also say, one thing we learned from the the village was able to arrange for the mayor of West Hampton to give us a briefing, which I think was incredibly helpful. She's quite impressive, and you know, they've been very diligent in pursuing the sewer plan. Number one, they were extraordinarily successful at getting public funding for the majority of the costs. And Jenna Scherer from the town has been working with us, and I think we are optimistic about the ability to get funding from the town, the county, and obviously assuming that the Congress and the President agree at some point on an infrastructure plan that should really provide significant funding for this. And then I would say, secondly, one thing that we were impressed about West Hampton is they've used the opportunity of the sewer plan to address a number of the issues in their business district, including rebuilding streets and burying utility lines and cleaning up parking lots, and a lot of the things this commission has talked about for years. And so, you know, we think that's going to be a very important component of this plan. You know, I think the timing that this is happening at the same time as the comprehensive plan is actually very good timing, because the two are really going to address many of the same issues. So I think we're optimistic about moving this. We're going to let them do some work, and really they're immersing themselves in the many past plans that have been done, and talking to the various village departments. And I'm thinking probably in about 6 weeks there'll be a public meeting to start really getting the input that's going to be needed to move this forward. I also would mention the village has now a very skilled village attorney who has extensive experience in developing map and plans. So that should help us move this forward.
Who is deciding on the site? Is it the engineering firm that's deciding on the site?
Yeah.
They decide on the site?
Well, I think they will present sites to the village. Options.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
the task force meetings, are they public?
Not yet, no. They will be obviously moving forward. You know, we use sort of quiet meetings for selecting the firm.
The presentations by the firm, would they be public?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think the intent is really to channel back, now that the selection has been made,
Right.
to channel it back to the planning commission.
Correct.
And I really want to thank Paul, that has really done a tremendous job with this, and he has worked extremely well. And the selection process was extremely well handled, and DNB Engineering is, and we were lucky that all of the firms that submitted proposals are really excellent firms. And we are here in Long Island, we have an amazing slew of engineering companies.
Yeah, I know. We were pretty impressed by the range of the firms. These were all basically, we really looked at firms on Long Island, and there's a lot of knowledge out here. The other thing I will mention, I think I mentioned at the trustee meeting, we had asked, and this is maybe the first time, we asked in the RFP that firms put together an MWBE plan, a plan for how they would utilize minority and women business enterprises. One of the reasons that we selected D&B is they were one of the most proactive firms in doing that. And I think that's something the village should be really thinking about moving forward.
Where are they based, D&B?
Huntington or Happock?
Yes.
Happock, sorry.
Okay. And what things like this have they done?
They just finished, or they're in the midst of finishing work for the village of Bellport, which has similar issues to us. They've done work in Sag Harbor. They've done work in Greenport. So they have a lot of work sort of in this area. Yeah. They're also doing work on Fire Island right now for, was it Ocean Bay Park, I think?
Ocean Beach.
Ocean Beach, yeah, Ocean Beach. So,
There's no, I think we're very excited to work with DNB, and then you know, I think that at the next meeting, I think they should maybe come to do a little presentation.
Right.
And then as Paul mentioned, you know, all the options will be reviewed,
Right.
whether it's the hospital, whether it's the site on
Yeah, that's-
2839, as well as other options,
Yes,
you know, that may be
right.
also possible.
In,
And yes. Yeah.
in their totality with costs, expenditures,
Correct.
expenses,
Correct.
feasibility, and long-range planning, not just for 2 years, but for,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, right, which I think is one of the reasons, like, for example, the college site came up, because if there's gonna eventually be a wastewater treatment plant there, does it make sense, long range, to combine them? Those are the issues that I think they're gonna look at. Again, I think, and I gotta give trustee McLaughlin credit, because I think he really focused the task force on trying to really have a very open mind about these issues, so that when we go to the public, they feel that all of the issues have been looked
Study.
at, that there wasn't, that this is
Right.
not a study where the answer was known before the study started.
Right.
So it's very dramatic music.
Okay, very good. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for this.
Mark, I think.
Oh,
Mike.
Mark, I have to hop off. I'm at this wedding. I apologize for leaving early. Thank you, and thank you, Paul.
okay, great. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right. Enjoy, guys.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you, Paul, for the update on this, and I think it's such an important endeavor at this time for the village to move with the sewer for many, many reasons, not only to help us manage development, but also for health reasons, you know,
importantly for health.
yes, for health reasons, that, you know, with the water level rising, it's definitely critical for our area.
Does the Suffolk County Water Authority chime in here at all?
They have to. Yeah, I think they're part of the part of what D&D will be doing is an environmental review, and that will definitely include, I believe, the Water Authority.
And the Water Authority gives recommendations, or do they contribute, or no?
I think it's more the health department.
It's more the health
is
department.
Health
really
department?
Is really the applicable department in the county.
However, if there is actual expenditure for stakeholders,
Right.
wouldn't that come under the purview of the Water Authority?
No, it's
Now,
misleading.
you set up
The
a,
Suffolk County Water Authority is really an independent private company. They just happen to be called Suffolk County Water Authority. But
Well,
they are-
I get a bill from them.
yes,
right, so
but
that's a
they are
bill
pro-
for water.
for
So
water.
generally what's gonna happen is, I assume, and maybe I'm assuming too much, but what has happened in most villages is they set up a sewer district, which is the entire village.
Right.
And then there's a service area, and that service area gets bills, I think, directly from the village. for
From the
sewer
village.
service.
Well,
Because-
or whoever entity.
Or whatever entity is running the
Well,
plant,
because I'm just bringing this up because places that I've lived before,
right?
I pay for water. It's typically water in, water out,
Right,
which, that's the bill, water in, water out.
right.
And that always included the sewer. That was always included. in
Yeah,
that.
I
No,
don't
it's-
think that's how Suffolk
no.
County does it.
No, Suffolk
No?
County is private
Different,
water.
different here?
Yeah, I
No.
think so.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
all
private
right.
water.
Just curious,
Curious.
what happened? Who do they use as an
H2M, yeah.
Well, H2M did all of our work before.
Right, and H2M has done an extensive amount of work
Yes.
for us, and they're gonna have access, obviously, to all that work.
But the major difference between us and West Hampton is that West Hampton really had the plant. It
Right.
just happened that there was a plant at the airport that was like really not being used, that had been planned many, many years ago
Right.
for an army base that never happened. And it was just sitting there, and it was just, so basically what they did, they created a distribution system to bring the sewer to that plant.
Right.
Yeah,
So
which
it
is
was the-
fortunate for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an amazing, yeah. for
Right, I
sure.
think one thing that's very important is the mayor really has brought the town into this conversation. I think it's very important moving forward that the town be involved.
Yes.
Obviously, the
Absolutely.
site that Mr. Shifford has been talking about is a site that's actually in the town. But also, we're a separate village, but we obviously interact with the town in
Well, I
major
think it
ways.
gives us more clout also,
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
as far as financing and all
Yeah,
the rest of
yeah.
it.
Yes, but also if we involve the town and the Department of Public Works, DPW, I
Right.
think it will also help in terms of the approvals,
Right,
in terms of the experience that they need.
right.
And also for the village to go at it alone, we are a relatively small village, and for us to be able to manage, maintain, and operate a sewage treatment plant, I'm not sure that this is something that we want to take, and this is something I will be discussing.
Right, and
'Cause,
and just
I mean-
one thing I would add is just so people have a sense of what's happening in the general environment.
It's gonna be on TV.
That what's happening in the general environment is the Village of East Hampton has a sewer study underway, and will be moving forward. The town is working to create a sewer plan for Hampton Bays.
Right.
So I think it's clearly only a matter of time, particularly in the South Fork, whereas we heard in the last presentation, we have such significant water issues and
Yes.
sustainability issues. It's only a matter of time before all the villages on the east end up with sewer plants.
Well, and ideally, if the town is involved, then we could plan, or it could be planned for North Sea,
Right.
the whole community of North Sea to be able to be involved as well,
Right,
down the road.
Okay, so thank you so much. I appreciate very much all your efforts, and look forward to continuing.
I
So-
look forward to this public meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
So our next item on the agenda was to review the Southampton Arts Center Arboretum. And I have spoken to CMAC Sammy briefly, and he will make a presentation at our next meeting, at July meeting, to give us an update. And by then, hopefully, some of the plants will also have grown. There may be even some grass on the ground.
Well, there's a tent over there on that, what is that, the northwest corner of the
Yes.
property. And I think that Marino has already planted his rose garden, hasn't he?
That's correct, yes. So this is very exciting. It's really, really very, very beautifully done. So we look forward for this at our next meeting. The next item on the agenda, and I was hoping that both Rob Coburn or Tom Lutham was going to join us, was about to give us an update on the Lake Agawam cleanup efforts, as well as other efforts that were done by the Clean Water Committee. Both Rob Coburn and Tom Lutham really did a spectacular job. And they sent me here a slight update that had to deal with some of the items that they did. They worked closely with the Southampton Conservancy, and they were able to get grants to be able to clean up Lake Agawam. They were able to really do a very, very good work. Let's see. So you have to, okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
All right. So maybe I will circulate this, and I'll put this memo on the website for the village. I don't want to take your time to read this, at this time, but really, there was really substantial work that was done, both on Lake Agawam as well as on Old Town Pond and the Wickapog Pond. So-
Have they tested these ultrasonic devices? Is there periodic testing of the water when they're
Yes.
installed?
Yes, and they have also hired a firm, Rue Engineering, to make a study on the dredging. I mean, myself, I think that really the key to clean up Lake Agawam is going to be through dredging. And this is what we did. I mean, they just finished a dredging project in East Hampton, in the village of East Hampton.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's really,
Oh, that was.
I noticed
Yes.
that. I know. It's wild,
Two
right.
drops of water left and,
Yes.
pulled everything out of there.
they really,
It's
and,
amazing.
and then now it's,
Where do you put that stuff?
and they refilled it, yeah.
And then refilled it, well, I
No,
haven't
then
seen
you
it.
have to take it away. You have to
So
take
where
it
do
away.
they put that stuff?
Yeah, you have to take it away, you have to truck it away.
Send it to China.
Send it to China, well, that would be a good place. Yeah, that's an idea.
Yes, exactly.
Who gets the permits for that?
That's right. So, and it did the miracle on their pond there. And us were like, had been some dredging done back in the 50s that the village did, and it's really definitely overdue to do the dredging on Lake Agawam.
Big Hagman, a lot bigger.
Yes.
It sure
A
is.
lot bigger than you.
Bigger and deeper.
Yes, that, lot bigger, lot deeper, yes.
Yeah, I know,
But
right?
an old pond, Old Town Pond is also very important. And,
That's even bigger than East State.
yes, and Old Town Pond is within the tributary area of the hospital sewage treatment plant. It's right there. That,
So what have the
described.
water samples shown since these installation of these devices?
You know what, I'm not 100% that familiar with all the details, so maybe I'll ask Rev. Coburn to come next time and,
Yeah, I'd like to see,
I heard that they have shown real incredible.
yes.
yeah, I'd like to see
You can see it yourself, when you go by the lake now,
Mhm.
you can see it yourself, the improvements, it was really
I'd
amazing.
like to see a graph.
Yes. All right. And actually, it's visible. The improvements
I
of the
haven't gone
lake
down.
is actually visible.
I haven't been down there lately. Well, no, I was at the farmer's market, but it was, I didn't notice.
Well, then you have to see it. You have to go see it.
For Memorial Day.
Right. So the next item on the agenda also will be rescheduled for the next meeting. It was a discussion, the correspondence that we have received from the planning board about the, what to do with smaller lots. And I think this is one of the items that we should review as part of the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, and I would really like to hear what the planning board in this letter is actually going to review this themselves, and they're going to present their findings, so to speak. So I would like to know where they are in that,
Yes.
and what they're, if they've even started to do that, and what they think.
Right, and how it's going to be incorporated in our comprehensive plan.
Yeah,
Comprehensive plan, yes. So, and I think Roy Stevenson, I believe, is leading that effort.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda that I had was a discussion on the affordable housing initiatives for the village that we should incorporate in the comprehensive plan.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we have, there was a trust fund, affordable housing trust fund that had been.
It's actually called workforce, but
A workforce.
it's in the code book. as
Right,
well.
it's in the code book. Right now, there has been only one contribution to this,
Fund?
to the fund by the Latch.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh,
That was
good.
the only
How much?
contribution. $466,000.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
So there is a fund, so I think as part of the comprehensive plan, we will try
Yes.
to develop some either inclusionary housing, possible tax abatement, or help. that
Where do
would-
you come up with the land?
Well, there are some properties, there is the property at the corner of Hampton Road and Flying Point Road.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
That,
location where they had this.
it's gonna be a we work?
Yeah, they were
Got
gonna be,
abandoned?
but I think that there
That's private property.
it's private property.
Private property.
It's private property, but maybe we can work with the private developer.
Private.
There's a
Also
property,
Bruce Lewin.
yes.
Oh, he owns it?
Exactly, yes. There's a property behind it also, so,
There's a property
Well,
across
we have
from
money, we have
People's
money.
Bank.
yes,
Right?
yes,
They
exactly.
haven't done anything
Partnership
with,
is not
except for
a deal.
once in a while, people stand there looking for jobs.
Right. Well, the property across People's Bank, I believe, is owned by the village.
I think it is.
Yes, it's owned by the
People's
village.
Bank?
People's Bank, Suffolk County National, it's become People's Bank.
Oh, really? That
Yeah.
piece of property?
Belongs to the village.
Really?
It belongs to the
Nice
village,
piece
so
of property.
that would be also, it's a little small, but it,
And also, if you really rethink and redistrict, I guess, to multifamily, the whole
Right.
North Sea corridor.
right. And also, I think that it's important for us that in the comprehensive plan to understand where do we want, which population do we want to service with the workforce and affordable housing. See, the average median income in Suffolk County is really one of the
Very
highest.
high.
It's one of the highest in the nation.
Right, well, workforce
I
has
mean,
different
Yes. And
parameters.
I know that a lot of developers, they want to try to service people who make less than 60% because 60% is the threshold.
Yeah.
If you service a population with less than 60% of AMI, you get a lot of subsidies. But maybe here in this area, we need to also service 80%, 100%, or even 120% of AMI. So we can keep, the young engineers, the young architects, the young talents in the area so they can still be here
And
and stay here.
the conflict is that they want to get rid of the half-acre lots and the quarter-acre lots and things like
Yeah,
that.
they
And-
shouldn't.
Well,
And you
the
can't
thi-
do that.
Well, but the thing is that those would probably be grandfathered. I mean, I can't imagine that they wouldn't be.
Well, there's nothing else to come,
And until,
you know.
until somebody passes away or something.
They still,
Because
they
you
should. I
can't,
mean,
you,
that was the comment I made in my email too. I mean, you're talking about overdevelopment. You start combining those small lots, making bigger lots, you're gonna get bigger
Bigger
houses.
houses.
you're into
And you're gonna be
overdevelopment.
unaffordable for anybody that's local, completely unaffordable.
You're into overdevelopment
Well, not
for
necessarily.
wealthy people.
Not necessarily if you have zoning. Not necessarily.
But that's spot zoning, that's very difficult.
No,
and
well,
very-
it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be spot zoning because they're large districts that are large spot.
I just want to I'm going to skip the next items on the agenda and let maybe Joe speak a little later. Just wanted to touch base on two updates, recent updates on of what happened in the village. We had Citarella made an application to transfer its liquor license from a store that they had in Hudson Yard to their store in Hampton Bays. And whether fortunately or unfortunately.
Hampton Bays or Southampton?
Sorry?
I
Southampton.
mean, Southampton, right?
Yeah, in Southampton, did I say Hampton?
But it was
Right, so Hampton
denied.
Bays.
It was denied. The New York State Legal Authority denied the application, but it was a split vote. And I have here the memorandum of decision that I can also, if anybody wants a copy of it, it was done.
The reason it got denied was because all the liquor store owners and all the restaurant owners and everything went charging on up to Albany and picketed and did all kinds of things against it.
Really?
That's why it got
All kinds
denied.
of things.
Yeah,
that's
you know,
what
they
it
just,
was.
they put on a show
Yeah,
all
and they
kinds
got
of
it stopped.
Selling liquor.
Yeah,
all
'cause
kinds of
normally
things.
they
I mean, I don't, there's, whether one other person has a liquor license or not, I don't
Yeah.
really understand, but they don't want liquor licenses going into grocery stores.
Well,
Now, they do in half of the states in the United States, but they just don't do it
Well, if you go to
here.
Costco, they have a liquor store. It's sort of next to
Yeah,
the.
but it's not,
Exactly,
it's not
exactly
Costco.
my point.
Yeah.
But here it
Exactly
was
my
also
point.
going to be a separate
Yeah.
store.
Right,
It was-
exactly.
It was
But people associate, but if you change the name or if you
yeah, but
change.
these people went crazy.
Yeah,
They
here-
did, they went crazy.
Yeah, in this case, at the hearing, they did mention, because normally, when it's just a matter of transferring the license,
Uh-huh.
they normally get it, but here, they get, apparently. the
They went
Liquor Commission
crazy.
got so many letters in opposition, including the
They took caravans up, they rented a
Did you read
bus.
this?
They went crazy, I
Read
tell you.
who went against it.
I mean,
Yeah, the Parent Teachers Association of the school.
oh, well,
Yeah,
they,
right, really?
well, that's why you can't put a restaurant on County Road just the other side of McDonald's, because then you'd serve liquor and there's a church within, you know. Come on.
Another item.
Not
that-
open at the same time.
Another item that we're gonna have to discuss is, and part of the comprehensive plan, as our building code, there's a list of uses that are allowed, in the various zones. And whether we're gonna allow, or we're gonna add, as part of one of the uses, retail dispensary. Because now they are, now that.
What are we dispensing, opium? What are we
What's a
dispensing?
retail
Well,
dispensary?
cannabis.
Oh, yeah,
Marijuana?
sure. Oh, definitely.
Oh, good.
So
Well,
now-
maybe Cinderella should do that then.
Yes, that's right. So the way it works is that apparently the state is going to be charging 4% tax on the cannabis. And if for every jurisdiction, you can either opt in or opt out.
Right.
They allow every jurisdiction to either opt in or opt out. it's going to be up to the decision of the towns and villages. And if you opt in, then you get a portion of that sales tax. I think 75% of the sales tax collected by the state will
Sounds
be then
good.
redistributed
What's
to
the
the
por-
various
what's the
municipalities.
percentage? What's the percentage of
It's
the
gonna-
4%?
75% of the 4% will be
Really?
redistributed to the municipalities.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well,
I
it's
don't
a
think-
question
I don't
whether,
think Southampton's gonna do it.
I don't know whether we should add that use in the building code as one possible use, that's.
I mean,
Well,
it's not up to us.
It's a state law. I
No,
mean,
no,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
every
yeah.
jurisdiction.
I know, but it's still a state law that it can be
Probably,
done.
probably has to be a
And
referendum.
it's just
Probably
a
referendum with the
decision.
village-
Well,
with
so
the
it's
village
interesting,
residents.
there is a referendum to opt out.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
otherwise if you
do-
say nothing, you're in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, where have I heard that before?
So, exactly, so it's a referendum to opt out, so this is something that we'll see whether we were gonna
I
have
think
to.
we can wait on listening for that one.
Right.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Right. And then there's a new app that came out that the village, you know, became part of. It's called See, Click, Fix. I hope everybody
Oh, I
downloaded
saw
it.
You know, I downloaded it and it disappeared.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I went looking for it, I downloaded it. It was in the paper. And
Yeah,
I, no, it came on my email. So I just sat there and I actually did it. And then last night, I was looking for it and
It was a
Good
virus. You're infected
I
now. It
was
was a
infected.
virus.
That was probably what it was, right? Trying to get rid
The
of it.
Russians got you.
Oh, I don't know, I
Who's
think
gonna
there's
hack you?
some politicians in town that it would be.
It's a good app. I think it's a great,
I can't-
the town of Southampton has its own app, SOS, I think it's called.
Now, what was this for? Is this just to communicate?
No, this is whenever you have any complaints, if you have, you see, let's say, landscapers who actually use.
Laura's gonna go to town, let me tell you.
Yes, you can take a picture and upload the picture and then send it
Ah, I
in.
see, okay.
And
And then they
then,
have they have it actual there, and someone is supposed to get back to you and tell you when it is going to be fixed, and then tell you that it has been fixed. Or you're getting on to tell them that it wasn't fixed.
I see.
And,
I think that's a very good,
but also I think you can make suggestions for
Yes.
things, and, you know,
Really?
it's when you're getting annoyed about stuff, just go on the little app, and there's somebody who, oh, it is still here. I found it.
You found it? Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, the bottom corner.
Yeah,
These are
see,
hard.
click, fix.
say click fix, yes.
And where did you get it? You got it off of Amazon or?
No.
Amazon.
You go to
App
your
Store.
app store,
App Store.
and there's a lot of towns that have this. This isn't brand new to
Oh, and it-
Southampton. We copied it. And you go and you look around till you find Southampton, and then
Okay,
download it.
I'll look into it.
Yes, I think it's a very good time. I'd like to encourage everyone in the public to also download it, participate, it, be active, you know, and I think it's.
In as much as we're heard, yes.
See, this is what it looks like when it comes
What, you
up.
downloading it?
Yeah.
Is
You
that
have
what-
to-
But I have it on my iPad, actually. It's great.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, it's a lot of quality of life issues that.
There's supposedly somebody on the other end writing it
Yes,
down.
it can be anonymous.
Someone's
On the,
being-
on the computer, looking at it.
Right, there is somebody assigned
Designated doing
to
that.
do this.
So we'll keep
Have you
our.
used it, Pam?
No,
No.
Everything's hunky-dory.
oh no, I didn't say that. I certainly didn't say that.
So we'll keep our Angel busy, you know.
Yeah.
Angel, our code enforcement officer.
Oh, that's on the, yeah,
Yes.
on Pally. Okay.
Okay, so these are, we have here Joe McLaughlin, and I'm going to invite Joe to say a few words. Joe is our liaison with the Board of Trustees.
Sure.
And he's really been extremely active. I really would like to also applaud Joe for all of his efforts and his dedication to the village, and the energy that he puts into this job is really extraordinary.
Thank you,
And I
Mark.
want to thank you, Joe.
I just wanted to thank Paul for all of his work. It's been a pleasure working with him over the years, and I think what he said earlier is very accurate. It's been years of work to put in, and
And I look forward to seeing this to the end with the master plan and the wastewater updates as well. So thank you all for all your hard work, and let's all work together for the better of the village. So.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the most important, that we all work together to better our village and to. Okay, so this will, I think, conclude our meeting. I want to thank for everybody's participation, and hope to see you all in July. I think for the month of July we will go back to our regular schedule.
Thursday,
The
first
first
Thursday
Thursday of the month.
at 5?
Yes, the first Thursday of the month, which should be July 1st at 5 p.m.
Oh,
And then
okay.
we'll-
First before the weekend.
Yes, it will be the first meeting. So thank you again, and like to get a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn?
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Adios.
Aye.
Yeah.
Hi.